We're ready. Go.
We're ready. Here we go.
Let's go.
Is this yours?
Yeah, it's fine. If I quit putting that stool up there, she can't jump up on there. But
I'll probably stand up before it's over with.
How the hell are we going to keep them separate? Keep mine down here. I got more moving parts than you do.
.357 Productions is proud to present The Masonian, a monthly podcast for Freemasons with a focus on the grand jurisdiction of North Carolina. While not an official function of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina, we operate with the full endorsement of Grand Master Bryant Webster. The opinions expressed on this show are those of the participants and in no way reflect the opinions of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina, its members, or any independent bodies. 357 Productions does not own any of this music. As always, we wish we did, and we love it. And today, we don't have any special guests, so you guys are stuck with us.
Again. Stuck with us again. All right.
Part 2.
Part 2. Well, at least we had some kind of a theme last month. This month we're absolutely completely winging it. We went to Sophia last night. Riley and I rode together. Brown doesn't get off work till like sometime in the middle of the night, so he had to come up later. But me and Riley rode up together, and we talked all the way back about what we were going to talk about. And we came up with a lot of really good ideas, none of which we can talk about on the air.
This is true.
So we are somewhat winging it. Let's Brown, how'd you enjoy the Rumble, buddy?
Oh, the Rumble was great.
So we're going to throw one out to the home team here right off the bat. We at Blackmer Lodge, which is we're all at that lodge together. Blackmer 127 and Mount Gilead. 2 years ago, we started a motorcycle ride, called it the URA Mountain Rumble, because we live in the beautiful, scenic URA mountain forest lands here in the middle part of North Carolina. So we tied that in. Did pretty good 2 years ago, and then last year, we were a little down last year. I think it was just a little early. But this year, man, we really kicked it up a notch, and we owe that to a couple of things. One is the Knights of Solomon. The crowd out of Charlotte came. I can't never remember their number, but they brought a whole bunch of folks, and the Booze Fighters came, which is a motorcycle organization that we support, and they brought a pretty good bunch of folks, and we had really good weather, and we promoted it a little bit better, and it just sometimes these things just organically grow. We had a great ride this year. We ain't got a final count on the money yet. I think we had 138 registered riders, and I've heard we think we made around $9,000, but then we got to take our cost out of that, so we're probably going to wind up with about $6,000. We really cool deal. It was like $35 for a rider, but you got a ton of stuff for that. You got a T-shirt,
Meal.
Great meal, live band. So all that cost us some money, but it looks like we're going to have about $6,000 at Blackmer. We split our money 3 ways between charities. Just encourage everybody, to remember the foundation when you're splitting your money. The foundation does good work. Someday we're going to get around to doing a program on that, but that is our third charity. Everybody, of course, gives a lot of money to Oxford, which is good. It's just an easy, you can't not love Oxford.
Right.
And Whitestone, of course, is a second, and everybody kind of forgets about the foundation, but it's really important. They do great work. They kind of support both of those entities. They hold a fund of money that's there in hard times, and you don't ever need that money for hard times until hard times.
Right, and the administration is doing a great job. They're going around right now. Grandmaster Webster's going around, and they're spreading a lot of information because there wasn't a lot of information out there about the foundation, or that already died down over time. So they're doing a lot of education on what the foundation is, how it helps, and stuff like that. So if you hadn't heard about it already, you're going to. They're making their way around to all the lodges and district meetings and things like that, talking about it. So you're going to find out more about the foundation.
Absolutely. Just consider it, when you're splitting your money in your lodges, though. We do, and I think it's a good deal. But the Rumble was a great bunch of fun. We had just perfect weather this year.
Bigfoot showed up.
And Bigfoot showed up, man. So here's the deal. How long ago was that Bigfoot show? Maybe, has it been 10 years?
No. Discovery Channel was probably what, Brown, 3 years ago? For finding Bigfoot.
It's been more than that, because I've been retired from the fire department for almost 3 years, and I was still on the fire department. Anyway, somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 5 years ago,
something like that.
The Animal Planet had a show. I guess it's still on, called Finding Bigfoot, and they had this great big dude named Bobo, and a girl named, what was that girl's name? Renee, maybe?
They're just squatching in them woods.
It's a squatch out there. And a dude named Matthew Moneymaker. It's sad that I remember all this stuff. But they decided, so they go all around the country where there's reported Bigfoot sightings, and they try to find Bigfoot. So some knucklehead decided that there was a Bigfoot here in the URA National Forest, which is where we live. We all kind of live.
They're like Zagnut bars.
Yeah, he he lured him in with a Zagnut bar. He set it on a stump and got some kind of image. You know more about this than I do.
I actually got to spend the evening with that gentleman while we were shooting the movie, Stomping Grounds, in the URAs about, it was a horror movie about Bigfoot. And this guy was very serious. He even showed me the stump. The stump where he placed the Zagnut bar. So it was kind of
Did you get sit on it?
Well, I stood on it, but he's a unique character.
So these Bigfoot people came with this show, and so I was still on the fire department. Riley's on the fire department, and the chief said one night, we get together, we have the meeting. When we start our meeting, we have announcements, things that are coming up, fire department stuff, training stuff. And the chief casually says, and by the way. Some Bigfoot show is coming to do a Bigfoot show, and they're gonna hold the town meeting for this thing in the fire department.
Some crowd called Animal Planet.
And we're like, you gotta be kidding. So sure enough, the day came, and we pulled all the fire trucks out of the fire station, and all these people came from parts of Montgomery County.
It was standing room only.
They must have come out of every nook and cranny in Montgomery County.
People I'd never seen.
And Moneymaker stands up there, and really his name, Matthew Moneymaker. He says, we're with Animal Planet, we're devoted Bigfoot scientists, and we understand that there have been Bigfoot sightings here, and we have come to investigate, and this is a very serious investigation. So all the firemen are sitting at the back of the room, right, with their arms crossed like this. And all these people that have come to tell their Bigfoot stories are sitting down in chairs, in front of us, and they're all facing these people on the camera. And I'm like, nobody's going to have seen a Bigfoot except for this one dude that called them, right? And so he finally gets around to saying, now, at this point, I would like to ask, has anybody in the audience had a Bigfoot experience? And everybody in the room raises their hands. I'm like, oh,
it was ridiculous.
Lord. So this goes on so they get them to tell their Bigfoot stories, and they've got everybody's got a Bigfoot story in the room. I don't even know how to describe the Bigfoot stories and how much they believe that this was true. For all our viewers that are Bigfoot believers, that I'm not tromping on your belief system, but
yeah, we know Bigfoot. I mean,
So anyway, eventually we catch right at the end. Everybody is gone. There's only maybe one guy left in the whole room, and the firemen. And y'all catch a fire call, and all the firemen, every one of them, get on the truck and go to the fire call, except for me. And at this point, I got 19 years and 10 months in the fire service. I'm fixing to retire, and I don't really care to go. So I stay back to make sure that nobody runs away with all of our equipment. And so there's just me. The only people left are just me and these Bigfoot TV people. And I said, surely they don't actually believe this. They're doing this to make money. I said, so do you guys really believe there's a Bigfoot? And they got pissed off because they're like, oh, yes, of course there's a Bigfoot. Surely you don't not believe in Bigfoot. I'm like, well, I'm a little skeptical. Oh, no, there's an empirical scientific evidence. So as a matter of fact, there's going to be DNA testing out in the next week or two, and it's going to absolutely conclusively prove that Bigfoot exists.
And
he lives
they take it
here.
serious.
Bigfoot lives right here in your backyard. I can't believe that you don't. I'm like, oh, okay.
This past weekend, we had the Bigfoot Research Society in the URA National Forest with thermal imaging cameras, suits, all kinds of stuff. This past weekend, forest was full of these guys, and they take it very serious, and they get very offended if you make jokes around them. I mean, very offended.
Yeah, I found that out. They do not joke about this.
Don't dress up in a gorilla outfit and run through the crowd or throw Zagnuts. They get very, very offended. Just say it.
So where we're going with this is we're going to tie this all back into the Rumble. We have a mutual friend that has a very realistic looking Bigfoot suit costume. And so he was kind enough to let us borrow this thing, and so we tied in the fact that there's allegedly a Bigfoot in the Uaris with the ride, and so on the ride we stopped at one of the trailheads for the Uari National Forest, and Bigfoot was there, and we had this wonderful photo op. And then Bigfoot just followed us around the rest of the day. He was in the back of a pickup truck following the motorcycle.
On top of a sheriff's deputy's car.
We went to, he got arrested, and he got in a fight with a sheriff's deputy, and then we went to the restaurant, and he came to the restaurant, and people were coming out of the woodwork to see it.
So what's the Facebook page these people can go and visit this on?
I guess it's on the
Uari Mountain Rumble
page.
Uari Mountain Rumble.
Uari Mountain Rumble on Facebook. So if you're listening and you want to check out these pictures, go to Uari Mountain Rumble on Facebook, and you will see Bigfoot in his entirety.
And it was wonderful. I mean, it was a great marketing tool for us. It was a good chance for Bigfoot to get out of the forest and meet some nice people. It was a good thing, a good photo op for our people, and it just tied in nicely. So next year, if you're a motorcycle rider, be sure and come, because I got a feeling that Bigfoot enjoyed the Rumble so much that he's probably coming back.
I think so.
Although there is a fair amount of chatter that I've been hearing lately about trying to get Gary Spivey instead. But I think we can somehow find... So for those of you who don't know, Gary Spivey is the psychic to the stars. And he lives in Troy.
Local
and he's
native.
about the size of Bigfoot. And he has this huge white afro.
And
Huge
dresses
white
all in white every
in white.
day.
Yeah.
Every single day.
like a wrestler.
Yes. All white, white overcoat, it's white Cadillac, the whole 9 yards.
And apparently he goes to Vegas and
He goes to
and
Vegas,
does
he's
psychic
super famous,
shows
he's got these celebrities that he calls every morning with their horoscopes.
and he lives right here in Troy.
Yes, he lives right here in Troy. If you don't know who Gary Spivey is, just Google him. I promise you'll get a kick out of it, and you will learn something.
So I just don't see how anybody worth their salt can have an event like the Rumble and not tie in both Bigfoot and Gary Spivey. I mean, it's the two biggest draws in Montgomery County.
Huge.
I mean, what else are we going to talk about? I mean, some farming stuff that we do here. We have the Indian Mound. Did I ever tell you my idea about the Indian Mound?
No.
So Tricia Nart, you know Tricia. Tricia was on the, I think it was her. She was on the county committee that does tourism and stuff, or whatever.
Economic development.
Yeah, something like that.
Tourism.
So she's like, yeah, Ben, what are some things you think we can do for Montgomery County? For those of you that don't know, there's only like 26,000 people, 28,000 people in Montgomery County. We're very rural, very small. And she's like, what do you think? What are some things we could do to generate some interest in Montgomery County? I said, Trish, I got the perfect idea. And so she literally got out her pencil and her paper and started writing this down. I said, here's what I think we need to do. In the southern part of the county, there is a Indian mound. For those of you who don't know the mounds, there was a set of Indians throughout North America that were famous for building these mounds, and we're kind of at the southern end of that. And there's this mound that the Indians built, and nobody really knows what exactly it was. It was some kind of temple or maybe some burial, something. Anyway, right now it's just a little museum kind of thing, and you can go and they have a mock. Yep. So I said, what we need to do is we need to create some Indians for that, because there's no Indians that live in Montgomery County that I know of, at least not associated with this. These Indians have long since gone on. There's not a reservation. There's nothing like that. No Indians here. I said, we need to get some people to say that they're Indians for this Indian mound down there, and then we'll get them to build a casino. And she's like, but there's no Indians. I said, well, that doesn't matter. We can just get some people that say they're Indians. Surely we can pull this off. And then we'll build like a pilgrim village. She's like, and it'll be like Amish people, but they're like pilgrims that are interfacing with the Indians. She said, I don't think the Amish had anything to do with Indians. I said, you're missing the point. You're wanting to do some kind of marketing. We'll build an Indian casino and have a bunch of Amish pilgrims, and then we'll build like some sort of amusement park to go around this thing. She's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I said, well.
But was she writing it down while you were talking?
No, she quit writing it pretty quickly. But, I keep coming up with all these great marketing ideas, and they just don't seem to go anywhere. I don't know what's up with that.
And for those of you who are listening, on a serious note, if you've not been to the Indian Mound, it is a pretty cool place. They've got some different things to be cool for the kids, so visit the Indian Mound. Bring some money to our county.
Do you know Richard Haywood?
Yes.
So Richard Haywood, this gentleman is like 85 years old now, very nice man, said that when he was a kid, this was before this was a National Historic Site. And so his father or grandfather farmed that land, and so when they were kids, their job was to go out there with 5-gallon buckets and pick up all the Indian arrowheads and axe heads and go dump them in the woods because they were in the middle of the field. And he said he remembered
Get that trash out of here.
Yeah, and he remembered and skulls and just all sort of Indian precious artifacts, probably, and very sacred stuff. They're like gathering them up and dumping them in the woods.
I'm just picturing somebody tossing a skull through the woods.
And then he said his granddaddy would always take. And because they plowed with mules back then, it was a very long time ago, and he would try to cut down the Indian mound. Because it was in the middle of their cornfield, right? So he kept trying to, every year he'd knock a little bit more of the edge off of it. Finally, the federal government came in and bought it up. And
there's historians crying right now listening to this.
Probably. It's hilarious.
We love Native Americans, by the way.
Yeah. I don't know any, but I
know
like the idea of
Hulk Owens is the only one I know.
Is he an Indian?
Yeah.
A Native American?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I wonder from where.
I have no clue.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah, he is cool.
I thought he was a Hispanic.
No.
Okay. All right. So, anyway, how about we get back to some masonry?
Yeah, let's tie this all in. We just went on a boomerang journey.
Woo! Okay, so we had the Rumble, and it was really good, and we raised a lot of money. Let me tell you some more cool stuff I've done since then, that we've done. Wilkerson College had session 2, and we're fixing to leave. We're shooting this thing on, what's the day, the 28th maybe? And we're going to session 3 tomorrow. Me and Larry Thompson are going to meet up, ride motorcycles up there. I'm carrying somehow a projector, a screen, a suit.
All in a
clothes.
backpack.
I don't know how we're going to do it.
Saddlebags, yeah.
We're going to pull it off somehow.
That's awesome.
Either that or we're going to...
You need to get a little motorcycle trailer.
I could just say I forgot the projector.
A covered wagon.
Yeah. My brother-in-law had one for his. He had a little trailer to pull behind. Yeah. It was loaded with beer, but you can load yours with camera equipment.
Or beer.
Both?
Yeah. Okay. So, anyway, we're fixing to finish up Wilkerson College. Great bunch of students this year. We'll give you a report on that next time. The allegory and symbolism lectures are done. We finished the last one of those. We'll probably have them again next year. Just a few announcements. The Pig Jig is coming up on May 21st. Once again, we're not going to be able to go. We got something scheduled on top of it. But if you haven't been to the Pig Jig, that's Raleigh 500's fundraiser. We get nothing out of this other than we just love barbecue, and we had a great time up there one year.
Great family event.
Yeah, so go out and support those guys if you can.
You got Prince Hall, a lot of good guys, a lot of great guys.
Great bar. You eat barbecue till you just want to throw up. It's wonderful. Wilkerson, Sophia Lodge is going to have Bob Davis on June 4th. For those of you that don't know Bob Davis, he's a prolific author, Masonic author. He was the secretary of the Guthrie Scottish Rite, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, but he retired. I was lucky enough to be there and got to go to his retirement dinner with Jason Marshall and some of the boys out there. And he's coming here to speak to us. Great speaker. I've heard him 2 or 3 times. Wonderful books that he's written, and I'm sure this will be a wonderful time. So if you want to go June 4th, go to Sophia's Facebook page and you get some information there. Wilkerson College Lodge is the next weekend. That symposium, that's June the 11th. They'll have the ritual competition. They're also going to have Tim Hogan speaking and Kevin Townley. Both are wonderful esoteric lecturers, and you do not want to miss that if you're into that sort of thing. If you want to see the ritual competition, by all means come. This thing's going to continue to grow. It's going to be a big deal. Please go to that if you can. All right, here's the big thing. Here's the coolest thing that I've done since we were together last. I've had a lot of Scottish Rite since we were together. I flew to Guthrie, Oklahoma, to go to the Guthrie Scottish Rite. So for those of you that don't know about Guthrie, they have some guys out there that are just absolute rock stars in the Scottish Rite world. We already talked about Bob Davis. They also have a guy named Jim Tressner, who's also another author and just a treasure trove of information. Chuck Dunning runs the Academy of Reflection, which is a meditation thing that they do during the reunion, and they do all 29 degrees, and they do them very well. All of the actors know their lines. All of them know how to act and project their voice and act like they're actually talking instead of reading something off of a sheet.
Note card.
Yeah. and their entire organization is just very, very well organized. You can stay, if you make reservations early enough, you can stay actually on the premises. This place used to be the state, I guess, capital. They have senators and representative offices there that they've turned into bunk rooms. They since moved to Oklahoma City. So you can stay there. There are guys that look after the inn. Their stage crew is just excellent. They have like a crew that does the food, and then and everything is organized. Guys, it's like an aircraft carrier. Guys wear different colored shirts to let you know what cruise they're on. They have a supernumerary crew running around, little red vests and stuff. I mean, just everything is just organized great. Everything there was spectacular, including my hosts. So I went out there. You remember Jason Marshall that came here, and I hung out with Jason and his crew from Veritas. Now, this is not our Veritas in North Carolina. This is the Veritas in Oklahoma City, Norman, Oklahoma City, Norman. I think they're the same town. I think maybe they run up to each other. I'm not exactly sure which town they're in, but in the neighborhood of Oklahoma City out there. Just great dudes. They were just very nice to me, very accommodating, and so I got to see all the Scottish Rite degrees, and I really dug that. As soon as I got back, like 2 weekends later, we had Scottish Rite in Greensboro, which was this past weekend. And we had probably the best Scottish Rite reunion that I've been to. We just keep getting better up there. Mike Daniels is our master of the work. Gene Cobb is our personal representative. Don Kaler is our secretary. And there's too many names to mention. I'm going to leave some folks out if I go naming all of them. But we're just a great organization in Greensboro. The energy is good. We're in ascension. We keep adding degrees. We added 17 this time. Riley, if you don't do anything else, come see us do the 17th degree in the fall. This is the first time we had done it, and it was spectacular. I mean, it was really, it was a fun degree. There's a lot of action in this thing. Everybody did their part great. All the parts that I screwed up, I kind of covered up, and we just kept going. And between what we actually knew and what we made up, we pulled it off really well. And I'm just really proud of my crew that did all that. A lot of guys did a lot of hard work for the entire reunion, and especially that 17th. So see if there's any way you can work out in the fall to come see it, because I really love the Greensboro Scottish Rite.
Yeah, it's a great building.
And you guys are both members, and so. Just, if you can make it, please do, because it's good. There's something else I love about the Scottish Rite. I love the lessons of the Scottish Rite. So I don't want to give anything away that's in the degrees, but generally, Pike talks about in the degrees, in the Blue Lodge degrees, the idea of well, this is all written down, so I guess I can say all this. It's in Pike's book, Esoterica, is specifically what I'm referencing. The idea that the three ruffians represent the tyranny of the state, the ignorance of the mob, and the fanaticism of the church. And so not only do they represent that in a national sense, in your national government and in the church, and in the ignorance of all the people who will just blindly go along with anything that the press seems to tell them or anything they see on Facebook. We also have our own ignorance and our own zealousness and our own tyranny that we have to deal with, right? So the Scottish Rite just explores all this in depth, and they talk about being honorable and doing the right thing for the right reasons, and on and on and on and on. The Scottish Rite just drives home lessons that make me proud to be a Scottish Rite Mason. Here's something else about the Scottish Rite that I like, and I've had this on my mind. I just want to ask your opinion on this. Here's the way the Scottish Rite works. So, I guess for the people that are not Scottish Rite, the 2-minute version is you go generally on a weekend. You go up there on Friday, sometime on Friday. You watch the degrees that valley does. In Guthrie, they do them all. In Greensboro, we're doing, I don't know, 8 or 10, something like that. And those degrees that are not done are what we call communicated. So both on the ones that we do and the ones that we just communicate, which means we tell you about them. There's a part where we tell you kind of the lesson of what that is doing. So, like, they'll give a synopsis of kind of what the play is about. It's like a play, and they tell you what's going on in the play, and then they tell you the lesson that you're supposed to learn from that. Or at least they give you, points to ponder, to make you really think about the lesson that they're trying to drive home. And so sometimes when you watch a degree in any appendant body or in the Blue Lodge, the lesson's a little hard to find, right? Unless somebody explains it to you.
In layman's terms.
Yeah, in layman's terms. Here's what this all symbolized, and here's what you're supposed to get out of it. Here's what you need to ponder about that. Scottish Rite does a very good job of explaining all that. If you don't want to listen to it at the degree, then they have the Master Craftsman program, and there's Morals and Dogma, and the Scottish Rite Monitoring Guide, and Bridge to Light, and all these books that you can read, self-study, group study, lots of ways to explain to you what it is that you're supposed to learn from the Scottish Rite. When do we do that in the Blue Lodge?
Never.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good point. Last time, our last episode focused on lodge rescue. You and I have kicked around the idea of lodge rescue, and what about candidate rescue? There's probably a host of reasons that we could go over on why we lose candidates. Maybe we've never stopped and thought, hey, we really didn't break this down in layman's terms of what really is happening.
Yeah, well, so let's just jump over and talk about candidates for a minute. But I also want everybody to ponder that. Why do we do such a good job of explaining what the ritual actually means in the Scottish Rite, and we don't do it at all in the Blue Lodge? I wonder if
Which
there's
is supposed to be the foundation.
Well, I don't know why. I don't know why we don't talk about it more, which I'm doing that with the allegory and symbolism lectures, but that's a very small crowd that comes to that. I'm getting somewhere between 8 to 25 people at one of those things, kind of, somewhere in that neighborhood is where we fell this year most of the time. So, and there's somewhere between 32 and 42,000 Masons in North Carolina. So, we're not touching a small percentage of them. I just don't understand why we don't do a better job of explaining it. I think we're going to get there one day. It's something that's been on my mind.
It's definitely, it's an important aspect that, I think would really help. Is a layman's term explanation. Now, of course, we'll go over everything, but not in simplified terms.
Yeah, I don't think we explain it well enough. I think we might ought to explain it better. And if we explained it better, what all that actually means, then maybe some of these guys wouldn't lose interest and leave. Did you know that according to the last BGP meeting I was in, we lose 23% of our entered apprentices before they become Master Masons? 23%. That's almost a quarter.
And with that percentage that you're talking about, we're not even taking into account millennials. I was in a state board meeting today, and it was brought up that in educational terms, across the board, globally, there is no pedagogy being done on how to effectively reach millennials. Like right now. So if you have a 15-year-old, there is no pedagogy right now that is in place in the educational process to where we can effectively reach that 15-year-old on a level that they are picking it up.
Wow.
Because of technology. Right now in education, pedagogy is we stand in front of the class and we teach. Now you're seeing colleges and different places like that go to online learning. But the other, there's a lot of different facts. There's a lot of things that you and I have talked about that the millennials, they don't care about. It doesn't bother them. Race, right. Sex, creed, they're not worried about that. But in that meeting, it's odd that, you and I discussed that last night on the way home from Sophia, and it was actually brought up in a state meeting today, exactly what you and I talked about. These. It's
because I'm a wizard.
I know, you're Yoda Wallace. It's unbelievable, but seriously. So bringing it back to the lodge, if we've got new candidates and they're tech savvy and their life revolves around texting, it revolves around Facebook, social media, and they don't have that interaction, the brief moments that we get when they want to have interaction, we've got to make it to the point and strike a nerve with them or they're gone.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, you got to make an impact right then.
Right.
Yeah, man, there's a lot to be mined right there, Riley. I mean, so Sean Bradshaw was telling me that he went to this Scottish Rite workshop that they had over in Charlotte, and that they had this guy that was, I'm going to get this wrong, I know, but he was like the immediate pass DeMolay, whatever their grandmaster kind of dude is, some DeMolay guy, and
Muckety muck.
yeah, muckety muck, and I don't know if he was actually a Mason, if he had got out of DeMolay and become a Mason, or if he was just a DeMolay guy. Anyway, he was like a 19-year-old kid, and he was talking about, young man, and he was talking about this very thing, about his generation and how they process information differently than our generation does, and how, you know, we need, if we're going to capture them, we got to be able to relate to them somehow. And I think you're right. Nobody's thinking about this. I mean, some people are kind of rolling it around in their head, but nobody's doing anything about it. And I don't know what to do about it. I don't have any answers there, but somebody probably needs to be figuring it out.
You know, it was funny. I go back to that meeting that we had today, state directors meeting on emergency services, and the gentleman who was from the state and he was heading this up, he posed the question to the group, big group of people. He said, "How do we teach these people? You know, how do we teach these people to care for people?" And a woman jumped up real quick and she said, "You give them all the information online, you have them look at it overnight, and you give them a test or a practical the next day, and they'll all pass it." And I was like, because that's what they're used to. They're used to computers, tablets, everything being technology driven. Now, is that the answer? I mean, I don't know. I thought it was really unique that she jumped up really quick and said that. But, you know, we got to figure out a way to reach them.
So what does it mean for us?
We got to figure out a way to reach them.
I mean, I wonder how. Next show.
Next show.
Next show.
Yeah, we'll solve that world problem.
Do some research there, Riley, and come back with some answers for us.
It's a pretty cool topic. Am I right? Are they the millennials? Is that right?
No, I think they're calling them Gen Z now.
Z? Okay.
Yeah, I think you're a millennial.
Nope.
No, I'm a Gen Xer.
Nope. I'm an Xer.
You're a Gen Xer. And then the millennials would be the next group, and then like Gens. I don't know. I'm making all this up. I heard Sean use the term Gen Z the other day when he was talking about this guy that was doing the speech.
Gotcha.
But I don't know when that starts.
So we're sorry we're screwing all these different generations up, but you get our gist. You know what we're talking about.
We don't know
what we're talking about. We're just rambling.
Yeah. Okay. We'll figure it out. We'll have it all figured out next time. So anyway, this 23% that we lose, I've been giving some thought about. I thought we'd just talk about it just a little bit. And so the way that I broke it down, and I've heard other people break it down, is that you got some work to do on the front end. So part of the problem with losing these guys is we're taking the wrong dudes in. We just get guys that really aren't a good fit for us, or maybe
so
we're not a good fit for them. We're not vetting them right. So, and then the next thing that happens is once we get them in the lodge, we need to give them a good experience. And then the last thing is if we're fixing to lose them, we probably have a small window of opportunity there where we cannot lose them, where we can reach in and rescue them before we lose them. So just to talk about the three of those, the vetting on the front end, everybody knows that what happens is when a dude petitions the lodge, then the master assigns an investigating committee. And the investigating committee is supposed to check this dude out, check out his background check, call his references, go meet with him, have a conversation, right?
Sure.
That's essentially what they do. I don't know how many people know this, but Larry Thompson and Max Sigmund just came up with guidelines for lodge investigating committees. 12 pages of explanation right here in my left hand for those of you listening instead of watching. And then there is a 2-page form that's like a cheat sheet for the 12-page thing. And it kind of tells you all the things that you're supposed to do. And if you follow this, then you will do a pretty good investigation up front. You can find this by going to the Grand Lodge website, going to Educational Resources, which is in the upper right-hand corner. When you go to that takes you to the education page. One of the things says Investigating Committee Guidelines, and you click on that and you can get both of these forms. Just print them off, and then so if you get put on an investigation committee, do that, and you'll do a much better investigation. And if we would all investigate better, then we're going to get better dudes, right?
And the one thing that we can't stress enough is don't go for quantity over quality. You know, there's a lot of lodges right now that are low in numbers. They might not have had a candidate in some time, and just the idea of having a potential prospect is very exciting.
Yeah.
But don't sacrifice the quality or reputation of that gentleman for numbers' sake. You know.
Yeah.
We don't have
lose.
to.
Yeah,
we don't lose.
We don't have to take everybody. We're
That's
not
right.
meant for everybody, and everybody's not meant for us.
You know,
Nobody wants to be a bad guy, but you got to take the right dudes in.
That's right. Our past grandmaster said it well last night. Is the problem with all these? Well, maybe not the problem with all these states, but with a lot of different states, including ours at sometimes, is that they have 10,000, they lose down to 2, but then they worry about getting that 10,000 back instead of focusing on the 2.
Right.
So then the 2 lose out. The 2,000 lose out.
Man, everything you say is something I'm going to talk about later in the show. we think alike, man. We're on some sort of we got some sort of
I don't
ESPN
know, man. I'm not
going
on Yoda
on.
Wallace's level. I don't know.
So I printed this thing off about I'm a Methodist, and so the Methodists have a website, and they're battling the same exact problem we are. They're losing numbers, right? And so there's a whole article here about just that. You know, we're losing numbers, and everybody's losing their freaking mind over it. And how are we going to get more butts in the seats? And this article's saying maybe it's just okay just to have a natural, shrinkage and go back to a smaller set. Just love the ones you got. If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with, right? That's what Stephen Steele says. I mean, take care of the ones that we've got that want to be here. And the numbers will come back or they won't. But don't worry about it. North Carolina is fortunate that our leadership is not losing their minds over it. Lots of states are doing they really are panicking because they see their money leaving. And when their money leaves, then that's a problem for them. North Carolina isn't worried about that. I'm not sure what kind of a plan they have going forward with a smaller set of Masons than we've had, but I know that they're not freaking out over it. They're not doing things like one-day classes or campaigns, membership campaigns, or trying to make it easier or quicker.
Or 30 masters in a day.
Yeah, they're just not. Yes, they're not doing any of that, and they're not going to do any of that. At least everybody that I've heard in leadership seems to say, we're going to take care of what we got. That's just kind of the way it is. It's a problem at church. It's a problem at lodge. It's just a generational problem. People aren't joining like they used to. Society has changed.
Yeah, we go back. Most of your big, in my research in Freemasonry, a lot of your booms in Freemasonry came right after war. Guys coming back and, or during that time frame. And you'd see large, numbers start piling in.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's another thing. Well, let's finish. Let's go through these next two things, and then we'll get to this. So, if you vet them, if you get put on an investigating committee, or if you're a master and you're going to appoint an investigating committee, please go run off these forms and these guidelines, and it'll help us vet guys better up front. Maybe we'll keep them. Then the next thing you got to do is once you get a guy in, when you've got to give him a good experience. So we beat this to death last month, but you've got to have decent degree work, and he's got to feel like he's wanted there. Steve Lynch is one of the ones that always says, I've heard him say it 100 times, and he's right every time. When we go downstairs to dinner, we'll be upstairs. This is at Scottish Rite. We'll be up there at administrative council, and we're fixing to go down to dinner. And Steve says, "Hey, I want to tell y'all something. When we go down to dinner, don't all you chiefs go sit together. Y'all spread out and go sit with some of the normal guys, and don't be all huddled up over there together. Spread out and talk to people and make them feel like they're wanted." I can't tell you how many people have told me, "Hey, I went to Greensboro Scottish Rite, and there was this big tall guy with white hair. And who is that? He was just so friendly, and he talked to me like he'd known me all my life." That's Steve Lynch. Oh,
The
yeah,
legend.
he was a good guy. Because he was, legend. Because he makes people feel welcome.
There's nobody like him.
So many times we don't do that, though, man. You have a guy come to your lodge, or especially at Scottish Rite, where it's a bigger audit group, and man, they're sitting over there and nobody's talking to them. to your candidates and talk to your visitors
You know,
and make them feel welcome. Doggone it.
That's right, and that's one thing I like about Sophia, and you know, all three of us are on Sophia. But it's really refreshing to see. You know, it can be. I can only imagine being a visitor coming into Sophia when we've got most of the brass from the state there on that one. You know, any given night. But that's kind of intimidating. You walk in, you're liable to see the current Grand Master, numerous past Grand Masters, a lot of line officers. Everybody's in tux. I mean, that is a very, very intimidating thing. But it's really cool to see all these guys go up before lodge and after lodge to all of our guests and say, hey, how are you doing? You know, that's impressive. And that really makes a difference, and it resonates with those guests. Just like last night, I know the gentleman come up and talked to you. He left lodge a little early last night. I saw several people talking to him before lodge. I mean, you could tell he was nervous when he first came in. I mean, who wouldn't be? You know, you're standing there talking to the just recently passed Grand Master, but our past Grand Master acts like he's known him all of his life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's special, and it's different.
Yeah. Everybody just needs to be mindful of it, right?
Make somebody feel like they belong.
Yeah, make
That's what we're preaching.
these guys are your brothers.
That's right.
So, and especially with your candidates, I mean, you got to love them up. I mean, send them a card, send them a text. You don't even have to go see them. Send them a text. Hey, man, really glad you're part of the lodge.
Yeah,
hope you had a good experience.
Especially with the candidates, because they're going through a lot of stuff that they really don't understand.
Right.
So if they're going through a lot of stuff that they don't understand and they feel like they don't have anybody to talk to and they're alone, we're going to lose them.
Yeah. So make sure you make them feel welcome. It seems like such a simple lesson, but it's not. You know, people come into church. Church is the same way. I hate to keep talking about church, but it's our show and we talk about whatever we want. I mean, it's to say at Lovejoy, where I go to church, I mean, it's just a good country church and everybody's very friendly. But you go in some churches, don't nobody talk to you. Mm-hmm. I mean, they won't talk to you at all.
Oh, I know.
It's like, I don't know. It's
just, and to go back to
just common courtesy.
No, you're right. And going back to making your candidate feel welcome and feel at ease going through these processes and degrees is today, when I first got here, you were working with a new candidate and you guys were going over the work. And he made several comments that, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. This is, you've blown my mind. I don't know if I can do this. And you and I were both there, and we're like, hey, everybody's been through this. Everybody's been in the same boat you have been. You're going to be fine. You're going to be great. Don't worry about it. You're going to get it. And you said it was, what was this, his second or third time?
Second, yeah.
Second time, and he's already got half of it down.
Yeah.
So it's pretty neat.
Throw this away. All right. So, just kind of love them up when they're going through the lodge, and help them out all you can, and talk to them. We could all do a better job of that. But then sometimes, even if you vetted them good up front, and even if you've really paid a lot of attention to them as they go through, sometimes you just have dudes that you're fixing to lose for whatever reason. And so here's the way this conversation usually goes, Riley. Hey, Joe, how's that candidate you got? I don't know, man. I hadn't seen him lately. Well, he should have been done by now, shouldn't he? Yeah, he ain't coming too much, though. Why not? I don't know. Well, have you talked to him? Yeah, I talked to him. He's always got some excuse and something about, he's got to do something with his wife. He's always got some excuse. I don't know. I've told him and finally gave up and just told him just call me when he's ready. Hadn't heard from him. How long's that been? 4 weeks? Okay. Well, so at that point, things like this happen all the time, right? So at that point, obviously the coach isn't going to be able to get him through it. They're having trouble. Either the candidate's having trouble, or the coach is having trouble, or they're having trouble together. This is where we fall down. Somebody in a leadership position, probably the master, but certainly the master or one of the wardens or somebody, needs to call that candidate up and say, brother,
What's going on?
What's going on? Let's meet for lunch one day and ask him what's going on. Maybe he's got trouble with his wife. Maybe she doesn't like the Masons. Maybe she's fixing to leave him. Maybe his preacher's on his ass. Maybe his mama is mad at him about the Masons.
Maybe he's got 3 little sons. I don't know.
Maybe he changed shifts at work. Yeah, maybe he's got three little sons. And, it could be anything, right? Maybe he just doesn't have the confidence that he can do it. Maybe he doesn't like his coach. Maybe his coach was being an ass to him.
Yeah.
Maybe, it could be anything. But here's the thing. You can't fix it if you don't know what it is. And what we too often do is, well, all right, let us know if he gets back with you. Hopefully he will. And that's what we do. We
drop the ball.
Nobody asks him. And some of them you can't save, right? Whatever. We had one in Sophia. Great dude, candidate going through, Greek Orthodox. He knew he was Greek Orthodox. His wife knew he was Greek Orthodox. She was Greek Orthodox. His parents knew he was Greek Orthodox and had joined the lodge. But his grandmother found out, like after he was already a fellow craft, and said, "Oh, well, Ted, you can't be a Mason. You're Greek Orthodox." He's like, "Well, of course I can." She's like, "No, Greek Orthodox cannot be Masons. Go talk to the priest." So he went and talked to the priest. The priest said, "Oh, no, you can't do that." So he comes to me. He's like, "Well, I got to quit." I'm like, "Well, okay. I mean, what was I going to do?" And so here's the deal. The Greek Orthodox families, or at least his, are very oftentimes, it's the entire family. It's his brothers, his sisters, his mom, his dad, his grandparents. He married a Greek Orthodox girl, or her parents. He can't leave you can't say, it's easy to say, "Oh, just leave the church." Well, you can't do that. You can't do that. So we lost him, right? And there was just no saving that one. I guess we could have found, we knew he was Greek Orthodox going in up front. I didn't know that was a problem for the Greek Orthodox. It wasn't a problem for the Masons. I didn't even know, if I had known it was a problem for the Greek Orthodox, I would have told him, "Hey, dude, better talk to your priest." But I didn't know they had a problem with us. So that was just a circumstance that we got into that, we were probably going to lose him no matter what we did. But I guarantee you 80% of them could be salvaged one way or another. Maybe he has a religious problem. Maybe you can just talk him through it. Maybe, whatever it is, you can work through those problems if you'll go sit down and say, "Dude, what's the problem? Let us help you out." You damn sure ain't going to save him if you don't ask.
Don't talk to him, yeah.
Yeah, of course he's going to drift off then.
And it sounds like it all is common sense. But there's numerous lodges that are doing exactly what we're talking about.
I've seen us do it.
I know.
I've seen us do it. And so shame on us, but, now we know better maybe. It is common sense, but so many times I think that's what happens. So if you vet them a little better up, so we're talking about 23%. You don't have to do perfect, but if you did a little better job of vetting them up front, and if you paid a little more attention to them, and if you went and talked to the ones you thought you were going to lose, I bet you could cut that number in half just like that.
Yeah, and if you're in the application process, is it really going to kill you to take an hour or 2 hours out of your day to go and meet a candidate, find out about he and his family, and tell them what is expected of them?
Right.
We had a candidate in Sophia not too long ago. We just voted him in the last meeting, and you and I and Randy were on the investigation committee, and it just so happened at one of our events he attended for Sophia, and during the Harmony, which is a meal that we have, Randy and I got to sit with him, and we asked him tons of questions and got to find out about him. Mm-hmm. And it was, for 2 or 3 hours, so we spent a better part of an evening having dinner and talking to him and finding out about him. And, of course, we voted, and he's in. And he sent me a text today while we were here. Good. "Thank you so much for everything that you've done, been on my investigation committee. This is great." And he's loving it. And this gentleman's old enough to be my grandfather. And here he is sending me text thanking me for everything that I've done, which I hadn't done anything. But, that's awesome.
Yeah. Take credit for it anyway.
Yeah.
That's what I always do.
That cannot be true.
All right, so here's the last thing. So we vetted them. We've loved them up. We tried to save them on the tail end. If we lose them anyway, these 23% that we're losing, or even if we cut that number, how do we know why we lost them? How do we know?
We don't right now unless we ask them.
We don't unless we ask them. So there's this dude named Robert Johnson who is one of the contributors to the Midnight Freemason. You can find them with an easy Google search. They are doing, and I hope I hadn't, or Facebook. I hope I hadn't messed this up, but I'm pretty sure it's the Midnight Freemason that's doing the actual survey. They are doing a survey of all of their listeners, and they're asking them all sort of questions like, Some demographic stuff. How old are they? Why did you join the lodge? Are you a member of an appendant body? Are you getting what you want out of the lodge? And so they got these little pie charts in it. Now, the deal is on this, of course, they're polling just their listeners, or just the people that they can get to go to the website to fill this thing out. So you know that those people are computer savvy. They're probably a pretty close in age. You know, you don't have any of the really old guys probably doing it. So it's a little bit skewed, but at least they're doing some kind of survey to try and find out answers about things that are going on in Masonry. We're always talking about, we're losing too many entered apprentices. Well, why are you losing them? Well, I think we're losing them because, and just stop right there, because all you're doing is guessing. I'm shocked that we don't do more surveying of our members. Guys that we drop NPD. Why are we dropping them? Why are they quitting? We don't know. I think I know. And you might think you know, and Sean might think he knows, but we don't really know unless we ask them. Why aren't we asking them? The entered apprentices.
You know what's funny is, and we can vouch for this because we see it in our lodge, is NPD, you know, we'll always say, well, does anybody know anything about this brother? What's going on? And without doubt, always. Well, I think.
I heard
the other day that this was what
my wife said.
Tons of assumption.
Yeah. Find out. So this is kind of the same thing we're talking about with our entered apprentices, but with our MPD folks and anybody else. You know, what kind of experience are they having? Through their initiation process. Do we know who had good experiences and bad? I mean, I'm not suggesting that we do like an actual company where we survey everything. But we never survey anything. I just think it would be interesting to get some actual data to work with.
You know, in Blackmer, when I first got in, there was a gentleman that I worked with, and you know him, and he came to my degrees, and then I didn't see him anymore once I got in. You know, I thought, well, I thought this guy came. And one day at work, I said, hey, why don't you come to lodge anymore? And he said, well, I really liked it when I first started Blackmer. I really did like it. And he said, I don't think that we do enough for charity. And I don't think that we're seen enough as far as, he said, I don't need notoriety, but I'm saying, why don't we go out to the parades that they have downtown, Mount Gilead? Why don't we set up a booth saying, we're raising money for the orphanage and we're asking you for donations? Why don't we go help little ladies clean their front porch off or paint their deck? Or he said, I just don't feel like we do enough.
He's right.
And I was let down. He said, I was really let down. I'm proud to be a Mason, but I was let down with the lodge. And I said, well, why'd you quit coming? And he said, because nobody ever talked to me. He said, I mentioned it to a couple of people, and they were like, oh, yeah, maybe we can do that next year. He said, and it just got blown over, and I said, wow. But he still pays his dues every year, but he doesn't come.
That's a shame. That's a shame, yeah. And he's exactly right. I mean, we ought to be doing more.
But it's a prime example of one guy that, other than me, just being curious and a young Mason, I asked why. But nobody else from the lodge went to him and said, hey, why are you not coming anymore?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We just need to talk to our folks more. It's easy to say, it's hard to do though, right?
Yeah. Life gets in the way.
And really, Blackmer is, we're not perfect at this, but we're better at this than a lot of lodges.
We try.
I don't know. All right. A couple more things here. We're going to ease out of here. Did you read this article by the Grandmaster on 4-letter words?
I did.
Is that not the most awesome sauce thing ever? Man, I love our Grandmaster.
He's on the money.
So, if anybody hasn't read this article, it's like everywhere. It was in the North Carolina Mason. That's where I first saw it. I know that they have it up on the Grand Lodge website, like real prominent right on the front page. And more or less, he's talking about the fact that what we need to be is to practice love. We just need to practice loving our brothers and loving our neighbors as ourselves. And if you come at life from a position of love, which is we are taught as Masons, then a lot of the things, I'll start fixing to say all, but certainly a lot of the things that have us jacked up as a society would kind of go away. You know, all of the ascended masters teach this same idea of love and love your neighbor and treat people like you want to be treated and mind your own damn business.
That's right.
Sure, Jesus would like me saying that, but don't be jacked up over what everybody else is doing. Don't be casting stones at everybody. Don't be telling everybody what they're doing wrong. Don't be worried about what kind of lifestyle they're leading or what color they are or what language they speak. Just love folks. Why can't we do that?
And I tell you one really cool thing that we were talking about the different generations earlier. You hear, and again, I don't know if this is right, but we're going to call them Generation Xers because we think that's what we're talking about. But we hear a lot of negative output on them right now. They're lazy. They keep their nose in technology too much. You can't get them off their phones. They have poor social skills. But let me tell you one thing they've got. They don't care about stuff that the world is going crazy about right now. Right. They don't care about what bathroom you're using. They don't care about what color you are. They don't care who you're married to. They don't care about anything other than being productive or just doing something. Whatever it is that trips their trigger, that's all they're into.
Right.
They're not going to be sweating bullets over here worried about what bathroom you're going in. They could care less. They've got bigger fish to fry than that. Right. Now, that could be playing Xbox. I don't know. But I'm saying they're not worried about it. So that's something that we could take from this generation is, hey, just let the small stuff roll off your back, man.
Yeah.
Now, we're not trying to get into bathroom issues and stuff like that. I'm just saying they seem to have a positive outlook as far as things like that go. Everything's just kind of even.
Well, maybe there are hope for the future.
I hope so.
Hope we can get some of them in the lodge.
Yeah, because when we're cruising around on our hover rounds at, the home, I hope somebody's looking after us.
Did you see the one that actually will go like 16 feet in the air? Dude was riding it over the water. He looks like the Silver Surfer on. It was awesome. All right, we're gonna roll out of here with this. You guys remember Sam Friedman that sent me the book?
Yeah.
Well. So, Sam, just to give him a plug for his book, he wrote a book called Millennial Apprentices, The Next Revolution in Freemasonry. Since that's what we're talking about, we're going to lead out with this. And we talked about the book on air, and he sent you guys each a book. Brown, here's your book. And he sent that like right at the show after that we actually did it. So I've been holding on to these things for like 3 months. They've been sitting on my desk. And every time I keep thinking, I'm going to take them and give them to them on the air. And then I forget. And so I forget again and I forget it again. So sorry, guys. This is my fault. Sam sent these a long time ago, right after the last time. But he sent each one of you guys a book. So everybody, please read this book. It was very good. And he was talking about just what we've been talking about tonight. Everybody go check it out.
Thank you, Sam. We really appreciate it. We really do.
Thank you, Sam, even though you may have forgotten by now.
Yeah, he's probably quit listening now. He didn't give him the books.
He probably thinks I kept the books. Damn, Ben kept the books.
He probably sold them.
He probably sent them to Sean Thatcher. What's Thatcher? Hey, our buddy Thatcher. And have you been watching Thatcher?
I have.
He's running. What's he running for? Clerk of court or Register of Deeds? Or
I don't
something
know,
like
but it's
that.
really cool because you see all these dignitaries, and then you see Thatcher, and he's got a suit on, and he's like this badass biker standing with all these dignitaries, and he's like owning it like a boss.
Yes, he is. I hope he wins. He's been feeding everybody. Now, I've been thinking about riding to Kentucky. Just go eat.
Yeah, Thatcher, send us 3 yard signs, man. We'll put them up in North Carolina, man. We're for it.
We've got to get out there and see him.
Yeah.
Of course, he's probably going to win this election, and then he'll be a big politician. He won't have time to mess with us.
He'll forget the little guys.
Yeah, that's always the way it is.
Or maybe we can have him on the podcast. Be a celebrity then. So
yeah, that'd be awesome. We have to go out there. We've got to go out there and see him. We expect food though when we come. I'm just saying, if we haul our ass all the way out to Kentucky, I expect some of that food I've been seeing because it looks like he knows how. It looks like they know how to put it on out there. What do you think, Brown? Run us up out of here, buddy.
Here we go.
Thatcher. We got to go see him.
yeah, he looks like he'll be a cool guy.
Of course, it would be easier for him to come out here and see us than all of us go out there and see him.
Maybe he could come down for the ride next year.
Yeah, hell yeah. Get him to come for the ride next year. Thatcher, come to the ride next year.
Got to be here for the ride.
Bring your boys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Masonian. For more information and productions, please visit and like our Facebook page at 357 Productions or 357productions.net. You may also email us at 357productionsteam@gmail.com. Again, that is 357productionsteam@gmail.com. As always, tell everybody you love them. And remember, we meet on the level and part on the square.